Go ahead.
What's up, guys? My name's Dean, Team Worst Generation. I saw some people requesting my Lucci deck list that I've been running all of 10 too, and I think it's pretty relevant now that this is one of the best decks into GP, at least until GP starts teching heavily for it. So wanted to go through my deck list. It's a little different than the typical deck list that you've seen topping throughout 10 after the ban list. I think that those deck lists are more just trying to play on curve and remove the opponent's stuff and then get to their boss monsters around 10 Dawn or 9 Dawn, like Kaido, maybe dropping Jack for value and trying to get a few swings into it to kind of stave off them swinging at your life. Whereas the list that I'm running is more, I call it value Luchi, where you just want to assemble a board of like a bunch of really high value targets around 4 Dawn or 5 Dawn, and just get to a position where your opponent only has 1 or 2 swings, but you have a bunch of really high value things and you force them to swing into it, because they can't leave things like Laboon or Kuzan on the board. So with that, I'm just going to go into the deck list. We're going to start with the value plays that I call it value Luchi for. We got 4 Laboon, 4 Kuzan, 4 Uta. Start there. Those are the big reduction pieces. A lot of lists that lately that are more like on curve remove Luchis, they run maybe 2 copies of these, maybe 3 for Kuzan, for example, because it replaces itself. But I just chose to go 4 across the board because, for example, Kuzan provides insane value, just that it replaces itself when you play it and it demands being dealt with the turn it's played if your opponent doesn't want their things removed. And even when I am able to remove it, resting to swing, get an attack, and get that -4 reduction, they have to dedicate resources to swing back on it, So I like Kuzan a lot. I think people who don't play 4 Kuzan, even in the on-curve removal versions, are like, I'm just like, really, we're not playing this? This is insane, right? I think every time Luchi's gotten a card banned, people immediately just go back to 4 Kuzan, and I'm like, guys, we should always just be playing 4 of this card, right? Especially now that we're not so heavy in on the CP build. So 4 Kuzan is definitely self-explanatory. Now just moving on to 4 Laboon and 2 to, I think Laboon is really insane too. We couldn't play it because we didn't have the space with Gecko and Ice Age. So now that we have space freed up and we're trying to go for the most consistency for our reduction, we just play 4 of it. It also allows for same turn reduction where Kuzan you have to pre-play, right? But it doesn't replace itself and it doesn't enable you to swing and get the reduction. So I think these, very similar utility, but Laboon provides that same turn reduction, which is really important. And against decks like Blackbeard or decks that are pretty fast, you need the reduction that turn. I like Laboon a lot. And then Uta in that same vein is same turn reduction, but it's insane because, it is stage, right? It is stage against a lot of matchups because they're not going to be able to remove it if they're just playing 1 body a turn. So decks like Bonnie, decks like Shanks, if it's not control, just decks that really routinely they play 1 body per turn and you're able to just remove it, they just can't deal with the Uta. It's way too good, so I'm just running 4. A lot of lists run 2, but I really want to see it, and it's another thing where it forces my opponent to get rid of it because the -2 static reduction is insane. Stage got banned for a reason. So we'll move those aside. We'll go into a few more value pieces that just need to get removed as soon as they hit the board. Brook and Jack. So these are your value pieces that do the removing. Those were all reduction pieces, and these are the ones that do the removing. Brook always needs to be cleared, right? Especially against like faster decks, they need to remove this because it's so easy against GP or Zora or like aggressive Shanks to just have these 2 and remove your bodies on curve. So playing this into on your 5 Dawn turn or 6 Dawn turn, Kuzan, Laboon, Hina, just being able to remove a 5 cost is insane, right? So this is another body where I also really like to play it active in the early game so that it's not rested off Rebecca and it can't soak up a swing, right, because of the 4K body. So if they have like smaller bodies on board that I didn't remove, even Searchers, right, they can target this with Leader and then swing back into it with a Searcher with some Dawn on it. So I really don't like that, which is why I try to avoid using Rebecca early game and just use Brook, keep it standing so they can't swing into it and actually generate card advantage by getting cards off my life. So Brook is great. Jack, this is probably the only card I'd consider moving down to 2. I just think sometimes it's a little clunky, especially with how fast the meta is getting. But a Jack that sticks is insane. We all know that, right? Even from when when 08 Luchi was so prevalent. A Jack sticking was almost as impactful as like chaining geckos. So Now we don't have Gecko, so this becomes the top end piece of the deck, especially because I'm running the value version. We're not doing very high Dawn plays with Kaido, so this is the piece that we really want to stick, and it's really good comboing, you know, with Uta, with a Laboon that's stuck on the board, with a Kuzan that's stuck on the board. With a Hina, it's a really good 10 Dawn play. Hina into Jack allows you to remove 8 cost with the leader swing. So I really love Jack. It's just sometimes it feels a little clunky, and because we just came out of a Eustace Kid format where everybody was kind of teching for 8 cost Kid in the green decks, it feels a little clunky because you can, like, you know, go all in on playing this Jack and hoping it sticks, and then they just go Gamma Knife, right? Or Mole Pistol, right? So for that reason, I'm hesitant to keep it at 2, but I think being that this is like the value version of the deck list, it's really essential. So I wouldn't move it any less than 2, really. In fact, the only thing I've been thinking about is moving this to 10 cost Kuzan with the prevalence of GP Luffy, but I think 3 is fine for now. So this stack is the value stack, and then kind of go into more traditional Lucci cards. I'll move those to the side for a little bit, but we'll start with 3 Hina. This is just something, I think 2 is necessary, but the third one is because I need to mill it at some point to have it for my Rebecca plays. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Go into Lucci. Lucci's essential in the deck. I think some lists have gone down to 3 Lucci, and I'm just like, I can't, right? I need to, especially with Spandine, be able to combo into Lucci, and against some decks like Zoro, GP, I need to be able to double clear, or else I'm just going to fall behind. So 4 Lucci is essential. I think, you know, one of the best black cards in the game. Surprised it hasn't been hit yet. 4 Rebecca allows our combos off of trash. Also insane, and allows us to combo into these 2 pieces, right? So I think Spandine's really essential, just because sometimes I need to be able to combo off Lucci and trash, or even just play Lucci for 3 Dawn, right? But the only issue is that does force me to play enough CP in my trash to be able to bottom deck, so it's a little clunky, but I think the combo is too good, right? Without Gecko, we still have Rebecca, Spandine, Lucci, and that combos so well with the amount of reduction in the deck that we're just able to double clear sometimes when our opponent doesn't expect it. We can have 3 cards in hand, and if one piece of reduction is still stuck on the board, or we have a Hina in our hand or a Laboon in our hand, we can still go into this play and remove 2 things. So it's crazy. I kind of refuse to play Lucci without Spandine until 11. 11 we can kind of think about stuff because Blue Purple will be the deck to beat, but I think while everything is low to the ground, Spandine is a necessity, at least in 2. Just to continue the blockers here, we have 2 Manchuri, which is an extension of Rebecca. 1 was too little, 1 was way too little. Like, sometimes I need it against decks that kind of eat my hand size away and starve me, so I can go into Manchuri and then clear board. And then kind of like the starve, or kind of like the value engine, it needs to be swung into, right? Like, some of my games where I'm like really behind on board, I can turn it around because I'll Manchuri value into Rebecca, right? And they only have 1 swing or 2 swings, but they decide not to swing on the Manchuri. And I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to do everything I did over and over again, right? And just loop infinite Manchuri because my trash gets so big, and then I can just outvalue you, you know? It's really frustrating for the opponent too. Like, they can get me down to 2 life or 1 life, and I'm only at 3 cards in hand. They should be in the lead, right? Even though I managed to keep their board size down, but they just don't clear Manchuri. Because it feels really bad to put like a big swing, because I'm going to block the first swing Rebecca, right? Maybe they play something with Rush, or they have a bigger body. It feels bad to put like a 7k swing into a 0k body, but you have to. Manchuri is too good. Some lists in 11 even run 4. So right now I think this is fine with where it is. 2. 1 was too little. I don't see it enough. 2 is fine because I'm bottoming my trash anyways with Spandine, so and Luchi, yeah. So I kind of need to keep my my graveyard size up. So I think any more than 2 gets to be kind of it's like counterintuitive. So I like the number 2, but I think in the future, when I move off of Spandines in 11, I might consider going up Manchuri, because then you have the graveyard size that you don't really care about bottoming cards every turn there. This is another card. So you've noticed so far, the only slots where I've been like, I want to take a card out, or I would like debate taking a card out, are really these 2 slots. I feel like the deck is a 48 card core, and it's really just these 2 that I've kind of not seen the utility for. The only reason I'm still at 2 on this is because even just looking at Eggman's case tourney yesterday, you know, Lucci's back, right? Lucci's back in the meta. It's not like a fringe meta deck anymore. It's like pretty high tier 2. Depending on how good GP is, it could become like low tier 1 as a deck. Because of that, I need something to combat the mirror. Before I had two because it was really essential if I can assemble a board to drop this against Blackbeard, because I need some way for my board to stick. And sometimes if they don't have, like if all they have is Burgess on the field, they don't really need to discard the leader ability. So they won't, right? They'll just keep the card advantage up. And Sabo was great on this turn. So they'll just be like, oh, I have this full board. You play double Burgess. That's great for you, right? I have to deal with that now, but now I'll just go Sabo and just try to rush you down. Like, yes, you have 9K swings coming at me for the rest of the game with Burgess, but now I'm just going to rush you down because you decided to keep cards in hand, not using leader ability, right? So these are really the only two slots that I'd think of going down on. And then we just go into here before events. This is pretty self-explanatory, just 8 2Ks. It's pretty low, but I think it's essential. I want to burn these 2Ks because I want to get my CP count and trash up. So I never felt like I needed more 2Ks. Maybe against like Zoro, where I'm not able to remove their bodies on curve, I feel like, oh, I need 2Ks, right? But I think something's already gone wrong if I'm not removing their bodies on curve against Zoro. So 8 2Ks is totally fine. And then the last 6 cards, we don't need to explain 4 Tempest Kick, most broken black event now that they removed Great Eruption and Ice Age. But this Ice Age, just because I feel like the Control Shanks matchup is so brutal, I think Finger Pistol is really essential, because if they're clearing my board, like if I can't use value Lucci to its intended purpose and keep that reduction on field to just clear their stuff every turn, like Control Shanks is just going to clear my board, right? Then I can just, this is a 2-card combo to just remove 10 cost Shanks. So I just swing with leader and then bring it down to F5 and then just Finger Pistol. So I really like Finger Pistol. I wouldn't run more than 2 of it, just because it's a little clunky sometimes and the format's really fast right now, right? So I don't need to remove something that's a 5 cost. But in hands that are really bad, or for example, if I can't get my trash high enough on the second curve to really utilize Tempest Kick, then this helps me get there faster. So I really like Finger Pistol at 2. I wouldn't run more. It's really just these 2 slots right here that are kind of free, and we'll just see how the EB02 meta plays out, and then just plan accordingly. So thanks for everybody who showed interest in the deck list over the few matches that I've been playing. I'm not a routine Luchi player. It's something that I came to because BY got banned, but it's really fun. I think the deck is, at least in this format, is super consistent compared to some of the high rolly decks in the format, and I hope some of y'all try it out. So.